All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program. You know what I'm talking about. Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul. You can pick up a refreshing German lager in a can. You go to johnnycuba.us, use the Johnny locator, find the nearest location to you. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us now after a very, very annoying Panther loss last night is hockey expert from the LeBatard Show, Roy Bellamy. Roy, hello. Good to see you. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, Jonathan Zaslow. I am very happy to return to the show. Last time I was on the show, I was literally on the road from Calgary to Edmonton.
I was wondering if you remembered. You were in the car. You flew into Calgary. Which game was it ahead of? Was it ahead of Game 5, maybe?
It was Game 6. It was ahead of Game 6. Because,
right. Game 6,
I remember
yes.
that. Yeah. That was annoying.
You were out there because it looked like the Panthers were going to clinch. They had a chance to clinch the Stanley Cup. We're all happy with the way it worked out, even though we were all shitting ourselves going into Game 7. And there you go. So last night, I wanted to get you on because I want to talk hockey. I want to talk Panthers with someone today. And before we talk about the huge story, which is obviously Brad Marchand, which, you know, I've been doing the last few days. I'm all over it. Last night's level of annoyance, that loss last night, was where for you?
Well, normally when the Panthers go into the third period, I mean, it's, lights out, I mean, the Panthers this season, 28-3-0 when leading after two periods. 28-3-0. That is called shutdown city. And that did not happen. And it looked like the Panthers were frustrated. And that was a level of annoyance that really, really got to me considering everything that's happened this week. So losing to Boston actually doesn't really matter that much anymore because considering the Panthers pretty much ended the franchise, doesn't really matter. But what's more important is that they get back into the fold, get back on the regular schedule because there's a big game coming up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you gotta get the head back in the game.
Toronto. It's the first of 3 games against Toronto between now and the final day of the regular season. I mean, these 3 games are likely to determine who's going to win the Atlantic Division. So huge tomorrow. Full disclosure, I'm on the air last night. I'm doing ESPN radio, so I got the Panther game on. I'm paying attention to it, but the game's on mute, so I don't know all the nuances. What happened with the Reinhart goal with 90 seconds left? They reviewed it and everything. The puck was clearly across the line. Did they say that the whistle blew? Is that what happened there?
Yes, sir. It was a dead play. That's exactly what happened. They blew the whistle and can't do anything after that.
That is so annoying. That's very annoying. And, I mean, when you consider 3 goals in the final, what are we talking? 12 minutes of the game when the Panthers had a shutout. They were about to have a shutout in 4 out of 5 games. And so you're right. It seemed like not very disciplined. My guy, Dmitry Kulikov, fatal turnover. Who was he trying to pass the puck to on, the play that tied the game?
And he had such a great game prior to that. I mean, he had obviously the goal off of the face-off, but sometimes you give up and take it away when it comes to Dmitry Kulikov sometimes.
What have you made of Seth Jones so far? Now, what are we talking? 4 games in, I think, 3-4 games. What have you made of Seth Jones?
Well, it's really, I don't know when the Panthers figured out that Aaron Ekblad had his failed drug test. So that trade
they had to have known they had to have known for a bit because usually that happens. You got an appeals process. The team knows, the player knows. You lose the appeal. That's when the suspension comes down.
Yep, and Seth Jones is a righty shot just like Aaron Ekblad. So him going up to the first pairing is actually a lot more important now. And considering that he's a puck mover, he's fast, he can cut to the net. I mean, he's an offensive defenseman. So that's big. And he's acclimated to the Panthers style of play as well. So big time trade. I think he's going to do well. And hopefully he wears a Panthers uniform for a while.
I'm a fan. I've always been a fan. He was supposed to be he was the presumptive pick for the Panthers back in 2013. And when they didn't pick him, we'd never heard of Alexander Barkov. You'd heard of Seth Jones because he's Popeye Jones's kid. He's black, so it's a player. It's like, oh, wow, you got a black NHL player whose father played in the NBA? That sounds cool. And then they pick Alexander Barkov. It's like, who the hell is that? and then all these years later, you wind up getting Seth Jones. So I'm way on it. He was great last night. As far as Ekblad goes, like, the team's going to be fine. It means Zuvis Balinskis is going to play again, and he's been fine for most of the season. So they're going to be just fine. The part that bothers me, because I love Ekblad, and I still love him, I find it's a really embarrassing mark for him on his career.
Yeah, and considering that he's a free agent coming up in this offseason, I mean, he's got to get back into the game as quickly as possible. So I can understand him not checking whatever medicine that he used to help his rehab when he was injured earlier. So yeah, he wanted to get back on the ice as quickly as possible. But yeah, you gotta check the ingredients on whatever prescription you got there, buddy. But
do you think this winds up? Do you think this winds up helping his case to remain with the team next year, because maybe it actually drives the price down a little bit?
Yeah, I would think that he had to accept whatever hometown discount that Bill Zito gives him, considering that, again, another season where he's injured. It's been going on for multiple years where he's gotten hurt and he's missed time, and now he's gotten suspended and missed time. That's a whole different situation for him. So yeah, I think he's going to have to bend a little bit on the negotiation.
It probably winds up, as long as the Panthers finish these final 17 games strong enough, it probably winds up being a blessing where he has the final month of the season to rest and be ready for another long playoff run, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we can't forget that Sam Bennett is also a free agent coming up this season. So if he does take a discount, how much of that is going to go into the Sam Bennett negotiations? Because they're going to need both of them if they want to have sustained playoff runs. And Aaron Ekblad having as much rest as possible with being healthy, oh, goodness, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, it could wind up working out. So, all right, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. You get the news on Friday. Tell me how you found out that Brad Marchand, that rat, that he was traded to the Panthers, and your initial reaction was what?
Yeah, I was at the practice facility with David Dwork and George Richards, Jessica Blaylock, all Katie Engelson. Everybody is there. You know, we were just expecting Bill Zito's going to come in 3:00, explain the moves and everything. Hey, we got Seth Jones. We take Vanacek. Yeah, all right, we're good. We're set. We're ready. And then Elliot Friedman gives a text. He gets his tweet off saying, "Rules in motion, Marchand to Florida." And I looked at that and I was like, oh, we might be in this room for a little bit. Considering how late that tweet came in. And once the deal was done, you gotta be in the queue for the NHL so they could process it. And by the time we left, it was 6:00. But my reaction was, wow. He did it again. I can't believe this guy. Why? And somehow he's going to lose the GM of the Year award to Jim Neal again, somehow, some way. But I was thoroughly surprised and shocked, and I thought about it for a second, and wow, this second line is going to piss a whole bunch of people off, man.
So you think it's going to be Bennett, Tkachuk, Marchand? You think Paul Maurice is actually going to put, that's going to be the line instead of maybe, you put Marchand on the third line, so it's 75% of the game, essentially. You have either Barkov on the ice, or you have Tkachuk, Bennett, or you have Marchand. You think they're going to be together on that second line?
I think for the majority of once Tkachuk gets healthy for the playoffs, I think it's going to be a majority second line. He might move between second and third, might put Mackey on second. You never know. Paul Maurice has options. He has a lot of options. And now the first 9 forwards on the forward lines right now is looking pretty good.
So I've never disliked a hockey player more than I've disliked Brad Marchand. All right. Obviously, over the last few years, the Panthers and Bruins have been major rivals. All right. And I hate that Brad Marchand. So when I first get the news, it's like, I don't really know how to feel about it. So how a lot of times, like, oh, great. Even though I hated him, I'm glad he's on my team now. I didn't know how to feel about it. How did you feel about adding Marchand?
I like to separate the art from the person. You know how actors and characters on TV, you gotta separate the two. You know, because you might hate a character on TV, but you might like the actor. That's what I had. I mean, I have to do that with Sidney Crosby. You know how much I hate that guy. But you know, he's a good guy off the ice. That's what I used to feel about Brad Marchand. I lumped him together as a player and a person off the ice. And as a person on the ice, of course you're gonna hate him. I mean, he looked the guy's face on the ice, for crying out loud. But off the ice, I like to say, like, you know, his stance on Tony DeAngelo, who, as you know, is pretty much a racist, and his stance on a prospect by the name of Mitchell Miller, who the Bruins tried to sign, who is a racist, who made a developmentally challenged black kid eat candy out of a urinal and called him the N-word over and over and over while they were in school together. He was the one, along with a couple of players, who urged the Bruins not to sign him, and the Bruins did not do that.
Okay, so you like what Marchand has stood up for outside of the actual game.
Absolutely. I think he's a stand-up guy. And maybe people outside of that don't know the story or the situation about him off the ice, but I think he's a stand-up guy, and I like him as a person. But now he's on our team as a player. Obviously, he's going to be an irritant, and we have a whole bunch of irritants on our squad. I say "our," like I'm not covering the team or anything, on the squad, and that's going to be a lot more frustrating. If you think teams, once the second line were on the ice with Bennett and Tkachuk, were angry every time they're on the ice, just think about this line together. It's going to be a spectacle.
So that's how I rationalized it over the weekend, which is, okay, I don't want this guy anywhere near my team. I don't want to have to root for him, but at least he's like, he's a piece of shit on the ice, but at least he's not a piece of shit in society. Like he's never done anything wrong off the ice. There's nothing going on there. It's not like, if the Panthers just traded for a guy or the Miami Heat traded for Mikal Bridges, who beats up his girlfriend. You know, I'd have a major, major problem with that. I can't get past that shit. So at least this is a guy, he's never done anything bad in society. But I needed him, and he had his media availability for the first time Monday morning. I needed to hear him say, I want to win a Stanley Cup with the Panthers. That was on my mind the entire weekend. I need to hear him say it. There's obviously the idea that he's a professional. He's been in the league a long time. He understands it's a business. No. I need to hear him say that he wants to win a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers. And we essentially got that on Monday, right?
Yeah, he said he chose to be here. This is the team that he wanted to be traded to once the negotiations broke down with the Bruins. Now, how badly it got at the final hour, we would never know. He's not going to tell us. And as many years as he spent in Boston, you can see how emotional he got during that press conference. And I wouldn't say I'm surprised that they didn't really do anything for Marchand in the game last night. I don't even know if they showed him in the arena, but yeah, I mean,
my guess is he was not like. I was wondering, is he going to be watching in a suite or something? My guess is he was not. My guess is that he was watching it back in the dressing room, because you would have figured that even the television broadcast, the Panthers broadcast, would have shown him, and they probably decided, I don't know, the Panthers and Bruins are done this year. They're not playing again. Right. So my guess is just whenever he returns next year, hopefully the Panthers, but whenever he returns next year, that's when they'll do they'll do a great tribute for him, I'm sure. Do you believe it? Now, apparently he didn't even ask for that much in an extension from Boston. So if that's true, where he was asking for, 2 or 3 years at like $3 million per, does that make you believe that, you know what, maybe the Panthers will try and keep this guy?
I saw a full total of 7.5 6.4 that he requested, and the Bruins wanted to give him 6.3. That is a
right. So he
significant
wanted
gap.
2 years for 7.4. The Bruins wanted 2 years for 6.1. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I saw, and that's a significant gap. No wiggle room from each side. I mean, not even meeting in the middle. So,
although no, I read that Marchand said he would meet in the middle, and the Bruins said no.
yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand. I guess they wanted a full rebuild, considering that they traded Coyle and I don't know what they were thinking, really. I guess they figured that the window closed, and they kept Pasta, obviously. And you're not gonna. I mean, that's the future of the team. That's the franchise right now. But let's see what the Panthers do. I'm like, they got Bennett, they got Ekblad, now they got Marchand that they gotta try to sign in the offseason. Let's see if they.
I mean, if it goes well with Marchand, you got to figure at that price that he's requesting there, Panthers will try and make that work, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's 36. He's 36 years old. I mean, he's still got some gas in the tank. I would hope that they would try to make it work, because the Panthers pretty much set for a good long while, and yeah, they're the team to beat out of the East for who knows how many years now. So hopefully they'll try to make it work.
Roy, how do we relay the message to all of the Panther fans in attendance for the home games the rest of this season that the ones who yell out "night" during the national anthem, that they're embarrassing me and they're embarrassing you? How do we get that message across?
I was expecting it. I was hoping for it the first game after he was traded. The second game after, I was hoping that it would die down a little bit, but yeah, it's still going strong. And that's how, I mean, like, we all thought he was going to be the next goaltender in this team, and obviously it didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't.
It's embarrassing. He doesn't play for us. He does, and you know, they were doing it when he was in the AHL. They were doing it when he was a backup for Bob, and now he's not even on the team anymore. I know it's only been 2 home games, but I mean, come on, it embarrasses me.
Yeah, don't do it during the playoffs. That's what I would say. If you want to do it for the rest of the regular season, meh. I mean, it could die down a little bit, but
I don't like it.
Yeah,
period.
He's not there anymore. He's not there anymore. So let's we could die down with that.
Roy, tell everybody how they could catch you doing all your hockey stuff. The Hockey Show, Meadowlark Media. Go ahead.
All right, the Hockey Show is every Friday. Me and David Dwork are the hosts of the show. Usually airs 3:00 on YouTube. You can find us on DKN, a part of the Dan LeBatard Show with Stu Gatz, and anywhere you find your podcasts.
Best guess that Marchand will debut? How much time you think?
Sometime in April. I think he's pretty close. We saw him on the ice last night during yesterday during practice. He was doing rushes with the first line. So he's
can he be that far? Can he be that far away if he was skating yesterday?
Well, I think he might come back in a couple of weeks. This guy to make sure that heals, that upper body injury heals, you know. And I wouldn't want to rush him back. I want him to be healthy, rested, and ready to go.
Did you enjoy drinking the tears of all the Boston fans over the weekend?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And everybody wanting Don Sweeney fired. Oh my God.
But Marchand had great things to say about Sweeney, didn't he? Wasn't he very complimentary?
Yeah, absolutely. He said that there was a friendship that him and the front office has had, and obviously, if you're going to spend that much time with a team, you got to have a friendship, you know. Yeah. But I expect once everything is done, 1-day contract, go back, have the number go up to the TD Garden Raptors over there next to Ray Bork, and across from I'm not even going to mention the Celtics, but yeah, right next to Ray Bork and Bobby Orr, his number's going to end up being retired. So yeah, I think water under the bridge.
One more for you here, Roy. The next Panther game I have tickets for is the end of this month. Taking my younger son, we're going to see the Panthers play Utah. And he actually, my son actually has a gift card, all right? And so he wants to buy a new Panther jersey. He's 13, loves the Panthers, wants to buy a new Panther jersey. He has a Kachuk jersey that he wears every game, but it's one of the Kachuk, it's the alternate jersey. So it's like they never wear it anymore, you know? So he wants like a real one, you know, either red or white. What jersey? We're trying to figure out who he should get. Who should he get? Which player?
Ooh, Ooh, that's a
You
good
got to be
question.
careful because you don't want to get a guy, like you could say, hey, get Ekblad. We love him. I may not be on the team next year. So you got
Right.
to be careful who you get.
All right, so we got to look at the players who have been extended already. You got Barkov, you got Rhino. Yeah, I mean, I think you go with your captain. You got to go with Alexander Barkov in this situation. He's going to be there for a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, obviously all the players are going to end up leaving the team one day, either through free agency, trade, or retirement.
He's deciding between Barkov and Reinhardt.
Yeah. Well, Rhino is the most recent extension, but I mean, that's your
I think
captain.
I'm going to urge him. I think I'm going to urge him to get Reinhardt because I wear a Barkov jersey to the games. So
yeah.
I think it's cooler if we have different ones,
Yeah, not a like father, like son situation. You don't want to match.
Yeah, no, like you're your own man. All right. I think he gets something different from me. I'm a Barkov guy. I think he should go get a Reinhardt. But either one of those is good, right?
Yeah, either one of those is good, and then you got to choose between the home and road jersey, like what you want to do.
Oh, that's a good one too. What would you go with then? Would you go with red or white?
I always go with white jerseys. Personally, every jersey that I usually buy is white. And obviously, if you want to go with your road jersey, that's all well and good. But you're going to the arena all the time. I would say that you go with red in that situation. I don't know what Barkov jersey that you might have.
Red. I have the red.
Yeah, red. Okay, yeah. So you want him to be his own man. I would say go with a white Rhino jersey. That would work out for you.
I like it. I'm gonna say Roy said I'm gonna push him toward the road white Reinhardt jersey. Roy, excellent job. Good catching up with you, man.
Thank you, Zaz, for having me.